we'll explore DeepSource, a modern alternative to SonarQube for static analysis and code quality. Hi, I'm Yvo.
Hi, I'm Christian.
And today we'll take a look at DeepSource. DeepSource is an alternative to SonarQube. SonarQube is a well-established and well-known code analysis tool that many developers know and many developers use to learn. Have you ever used SonarQube?
We have used it in a project, but it's a few years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what we will do today is to take a look at how SonarQube works. Well, we'll not use it in the demo, but we'll use DeepSource. DeepSource is a tool that I've come across that is a bit newer. It is modern. They claim themselves that they are very developer-oriented, very fast to set up. If you look at SonarQube, then I don't think SonarQube is really awful to set up. It's not that everyone knows directly how to do it, but you can connect SonarQube to your Azure DevOps organization. You can use a private access token to give SonarQube the permissions to scan your code. Mm-hmm. And you can use a SonarQube token in Azure DevOps to create a service connection so that you can trigger the SonarCloud analyze task in your pipeline. Yeah, and that is how we use it. We use it at our pull requests. To analyze the build, to look at bugs, code smells, maintainability of the code, good practices. We also use it to look at code coverage. We run the unit tests and then we should be above 80%. Okay. That is what we agreed with ourselves. All those things DeepSource can do as well. One of the things, if you look at SonarQube Cloud as we use it, what I like about it is that in your pull request in Azure DevOps, you get pull request decoration, you get comments on your pull request on the things that SonarQube thinks you can do better. Okay. And that is really nice. So the developer gets a pull request review in the Azure DevOps environment. It's very customizable. There are countless languages that it supports, and it's kind of a market default. I think everyone almost knows SonarQube.
There's a reason why you were looking for something else, I guess.
There is a reason indeed. One of the reasons is that SonarQube changed their pricing model last year. They updated it after a few years, I think. It never was that expensive. But in our organization, we are kind of a small team. We don't have that many developers, but we are supporting a very large code base because we are supporting multiple clients. And some of the clients have multiple applications and the domain is very broad. So we manage a lot of code. And the pricing model of SonarQube is based on the lines of code that you analyze. So that's not very cost effective for us. Mm-hmm. Because the licensing setup changed. It became much more expensive. And DeepSource is one of the tools that has a different pricing model. It has a seat-based pricing model. Yeah,
that's more convenient then.
It doesn't matter how many lines of code you analyze. It's just if you have 10 developers or 20 developers, you pay per seat. So that is very convenient for us. Yep. One of the things that they do also quite well is that they have a SaaS solution. There's no on-prem hassle. There's no way that you can host it yourself, as you can do with SonarQube. You also have SonarQube server. Mm-hmm. We use the cloud version, but DeepSource only has a cloud version, so that's easier. And what DeepSource also does is that the way you configure it for your specific repository, there's a deepsource.toml file, and that file resides in the root of your repository. And in that file, there you configure the analyzers, so the languages that are present in your repository. Okay. You can add some thresholds on code coverage. You can use additional tools like .NET format. You can configure that also in that configuration file. And also the rules that you would like to customize. There are hundreds of rules that you can comply with. The rules that you don't want to enforce, the exceptions that you want to make, you can do that also in the DeepSource toml file.
Okay.
This is an example of how that DeepSource toml file looks. Mm-hmm. If you connect a repository to the DeepSource portal, if you have logged in DeepSource and you connected DeepSource to your Azure DevOps organization, then you can start adding repositories from projects. And the first thing DeepSource wants to do is, okay, we want to analyze this repository, then we need this DeepSource toml file, and it creates a pull request with some defaults in it and things that you choose. And over time you will customize this file and you will update it with the exceptions that you need for the specific project and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very easy. Then let's take a small look at how DeepSource looks. I have opened it in a private browser because of my multiple accounts. This is the DeepSource portal. I have imported some repositories in my private organization. I just stripped some repos from GitHub that were public, and I added them as public repositories to my own DevOps organization. So nothing that you will see in this demo is done by me, or I don't mean to blame anyone working on those repos. Most of them are just examples and katas. Well, if we look at this one, this is quite a small one. If you use this more over time, then what you will see is that these parts of the dashboard will show some graphs because of the trends over time. You can see how many issues you have, how many issues you have resolved. It's actively looking for OWASP top 10
security
stuff.
Issues.
Security is a big thing. One thing that is good to mention, in our setup within Betabit, we use both SonarQube and Snyk. Snyk we use for open source dependencies, for scanning for security vulnerabilities. That is also something DeepSource offers. Okay. So DeepSource could be a replacement for us for as well SonarQube as Snyk. So we are investigating that at the moment.
Oh, nice.
And then the interesting part, you can look at the issues and you can see all issues. You have some recommended issues that are recommended to fix. Do you have issues regarding secrets in your code? Because you should never have secrets in your repository, of course. The bug risks, that's a specific category. Some anti-patterns. You can already see if I click those that some of them are major, some of them are critical. Well, no security issues, that is great. And we have a performance issue. What is a nice feature of DeepSource is that maybe you already saw it, that there's a green button AutoFix on the right. And if you look at some of those issues, then for instance, we have an issue with file scope namespaces. There is no file scope namespace, but a full namespace with braces. And modern practice is that you can use file scope namespaces to reduce indentation in the code file. Well, that is something that is very easy to fix. But DeepSource can do that for us.
And then will it use like Copilot agents or something? Or
there is an AI assistant integrated in DeepSource. It is a configuration option actually. You can use AutoFix based on the general guidelines that it already knows and how it works. But there's also an option to switch on AI in it. Okay. So then it will be more active over time. Well, what you can see is that this AutoFix button is enabled, so we can click it. I already did that, and there is a pull request waiting in Azure DevOps. So if you click that, then DeepSource will prepare a pull request, so it won't just update your code.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It follows the normal process.
You can do some reviews on it.
Yeah, you can actually do a review. Well, because I am the owner of this organization and I have connected Azure DevOps to DeepSource, the pull request is mine. That is, that's a downside because I would like to configure that to some general account so that everyone knows, hey, this is automated. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not a very big disadvantage. It actually created a nice description because it said, okay, we refactored the existing code base so that we use file scope namespaces instead of the extra braces that we don't need. So there's a description and you can see some things. I even updated it because when I created it first, it resolved some of the issues, but it introduced some new issues as well. It didn't introduce those issues, but they were present in the file as well. And the same as with SonarQube, you might know that on a pull request you can create some branching policies with status checks. Mm-hmm. And DeepSource automatically added these checks also to the branch policy of the branch, and it analyzes the code to see if there are blocking issues. And you can configure that in the DeepSource toml file, of course, what the span is of that. But the analysis failed the first time, so I had to go to DeepSource and say, hey, maybe you need to fix these issues as well. So that was another commit, and then the issues were resolved, and now the check is green. And one of the bigger differences with SonarQube, of course, is that you don't get really comments on the line of code that it actually is about. You get a summary. There's a summary in your pull request, a summary comment that says, hey, I analyzed your code and I think it looks like this, it's successful. And you can click it, and if you click it, then you go to DeepSource and it shows the details on your pull request comments. So if there were issues, and there are none, it only says, okay, the coverage in documentation is 16%. I haven't integrated any unit tests or stuff like that, so it doesn't mention code coverage. But yeah, it would show a bit more about the specific issues that it raised.
Yeah.
But currently
your pull request, when you look at files, you can still see the individual lines that change, of course, I guess.
Yeah, you see your own changes, definitely. If you look at the pull request and you go to files, then of course these are the files that have been touched. And you see the changes. It's just that in SonarQube you would actually see a comment on a line like this, and in this case that doesn't happen.
Okay. No.
But that is what DeepSource can do for you, and yeah. Now it also could scan the dependencies. It can show metrics on a line coverage for your unit tests. Do you have documentation if you agree to add XML documentation to your public APIs? You can have some reports on security stuff, code health trend. So yeah, managers can also be happy because they have some reporting tools in it. And you also see the history of your repository. So if there are a lot of pull requests, if it is a volatile repository with a lot of changes, then this list will be very long, of course, and you can see what each individual one did.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Is there also a way of connecting it to Visual Studio so you get already some issues before you do the pull request? Or?
Yeah, that's a nice one you mentioned, because SonarQube has SonarLint as a Visual Studio extension, and that you can connect that to the SonarQube project even, so that you get the specific violations as those wiggle lines in your code. That is very nice. DeepSource doesn't have that yet. And I say yet because DeepSource is quite aggressive in its development. I think it was founded in 2018, so it's not that old. And they are evolving quite fast. So I don't know if it's on the roadmap, if it is something they want to add. But yeah, to be honest, there are so many Roslyn analyzers and other stuff that you can use in Visual Studio that it's not necessarily it's not that necessary to have that bounded to your SonarQube project anymore, I think. Okay. But it could be nice. Yeah, true. Okay. Yeah, that was what I wanted to show from DeepSource. What I can say about it is how you connect it. One of the things that I mentioned with SonarQube is with that private access token and the SonarQube token to make a two-way connection. One of the disadvantages of DeepSource for me is that you need to be the Azure DevOps organization owner to connect it to DeepSource, and then you can choose repositories, add repositories to analyze. There is no way to do that with another account or as a project admin or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
That can be a downside.
Yeah, that is a downside for me. Yeah. What do you think? Is it? Would it be a good alternative?
It looks promising, at least for a pricing perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Price is one of the bigger advantages that we think is very good. And what DeepSource also claims is that they have less false positives on code analysis.
Okay, that would be great, of course.
Okay, well, maybe next time we'll have another update on DeepSource, how we integrated it, if we still like it. Thanks, see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.